Hello doll fans, and welcome to Help Me BJD episode 4, Wigs. Today we're going to talk about something that's very important for your doll unless you want them to be bald. And I think next week we're probably going to talk about eyes. There are different kinds of ways to adorn your doll's noggin. One kind of wig is called synthetic wig, and they come in heat resistant and non-heat resistant. My Democrony doll is wearing a synthetic wig. There are mohair wigs. Let's see, I have one here. Kind of fluffy. And there are fur wigs, which are usually not actually fur, so don't worry about that. And I've seen people make them out of other stuff too, like yarn and sometimes silk fibers, and even human hair, but typically it's synthetic mohair or fur. So I'm not really an expert on styling wigs, but I can tell you a little bit about each kind of wig. Synthetic tend to be the most expensive, followed by mohair, followed by fur. You can get fur wigs for like $10 sometimes. But the synthetics usually run between like $27 and up to like $50, especially if you're shopping bulks. Although that's not always the case. Sometimes people do like really extremely full mohair wigs, and those will be really expensive. And generally, as your doll gets bigger, the wig price goes up. So synthetic fibers are made out of material that sort of looks and sometimes feels like human hair, sometimes it feels a little more plasticky. If you want to be able to style the doll's wig with heat things like a hairdryer or a curling iron, you need to make sure the wig is heat resistant, because otherwise the synthetic fibers will melt and clump together and your wig will be destroyed. I actually really like synthetic wigs because they just tend to be easier to manage and to style. Mohair wigs are really soft and they're really floofy. Like this thing here, it kind of looks like some kind of fluffy animal. They're very, very, very soft, so that's nice about them. With mohair, it's kind of, people tend to have polarized reactions. Either they're really big fans or they just like hate mohair. But I think it's cute, especially on tinies. The wig is really delicate and it gets pretty frizzy easily, so if that's an issue for you, you probably want to avoid mohair. Fur wigs, they really vary a lot in what they look like and what they're made out of. But they tend to be cheaper than other kinds of wigs, and they're easy to style with a little water. You can get them like a gelled look, so they're great for boys. And that's usually what people get them for, but not always. They're really easy to manage, so some people will buy a fur wig for when they're not taking a picture of their doll so that their synthetic or mohair wig is less damaged. So that's a thought too, is just getting like a $10 fur wig for them if you don't want to mess up their expensive curly look. So when you are figuring out the size of wig your doll needs, what you want to do is take a tape measure, and you don't want the kind that like bends and is stiff. You want a very pliant string-like one. And you measure the head like this. You want to make sure you're getting like the widest bit of their head, right above their ears. You don't want to measure it like this. You don't want to measure it, I don't know, like that. You want to measure it like this. So then you read off the inches of your doll's head, and say the head is like 7.5 inches. What you're going to want is a 7/8 wig. And, you know, if it's 6.2, you're going to want a 6/7. and so on and so forth. Usually everything in the doll world is measured in centimeters, but for some reason, usually this goes in inches, so I don't know why. Now sometimes some company wigs will be really stretchy, have a lot of give to them, so you might want to size down. And sometimes they may be very non-stretchy, so you might want a size up. So it may be better to inquire on Denim Angel's, you know, what size wig works well. And if you want to buy the wig before you get the doll, you can also go on Denim Angel's and find the thread for that doll and ask for the size of the head, because the company doesn't always give wig size. So I think we talked about before that the most common staining problem on a resin doll is usually the wig. So if you want to stop that, I suggest a silicone head cap, which I have shown in the past. And they're basically clear little half circles that go on the head, and they hold the wig on really well, because wigs can kind of shake around and, you know, twirl on your doll's head or fall off, and you don't want that. So a silicone head cap prevents staining and holds the wig on really tight. So they're really nice, and usually you can get them for like $4 to $12. Wig and wig accessories, I recommend you try eBay, because sometimes they'll be cheaper than they will in a doll store. So shop around for your wig cap and your wig. Get the best price. And for a silicone head cap, you want one size smaller than your doll's wig size, so remember that when you're picking the size. Other methods for holding on the wig but not for preventing staining include wrapping a rubber band around the doll's head so that the wig has like something to hold on to, or you can put Velcro sort of like right here on the doll's head and then inside of the wig so that it'll stick. Or you can try putting silicone earplugs or eye putty between the head and the wig so that it sticks. You want to keep your wig nice, and honestly I'm not very good at that myself. So fur wigs are pretty easy to keep nice, but often synthetic wigs can be really hard to care of. So when you're picking a wig, if you don't want to be styling it all the time, I would recommend a shorter wig and a wig without curls or waves in it, because you're going to have to reset those curls at some point. And if you don't want to do that, or if you don't know how to do that, or if your wig is not heat resistant, you may want to pick a straight hairstyle, which is why I really like this wig, because I don't really have to do anything to it. It looks really cute, it's straight, it's short. It's a good wig because, you know, it's easy to care for. So you might want to refrain from getting long, really, really long wigs. Like, they'll make ones that go down to the doll's feet, and you're going to have to comb that like every 5 seconds, and it gets caught in their clothes, in their joints. It's kind of a mess. So I would recommend avoiding curls and extremely long hair. So some things you can do is, when you're brushing it, don't use a people brush. I use a comb, but lots of people use a toothbrush, a clean one obviously, just for the dolls, to brush it out, because it's gentle. It won't harm the synthetic fibers. You can also wash your wig with natural soap or baby shampoo, but you don't want to do this if you can prevent it, because some wigs have a like protective spray on them, and when you wash it, that's going to come off. So it's sort of like a last-ditch attempt to freshen up the wig. And make sure you use a small amount if you can, because the wig can get oily otherwise. So you just wash it like you would your own hair, but very gently, and then leave it to dry. Don't blow dry it. And you should never like fold your wig over, because this one probably wouldn't fold, but the more plasticky synthetic ones, it might keep the crease permanently, and you don't want that. You don't want your doll to be sporting the folded hair look. And if you're not wearing the wig, you should put it in the little hairnet that it came in, and you might want to stuff some tissue paper or tissue or just paper inside of here so that it doesn't like collapse on itself. And the wigs will sort of attract fuzzies and stuff like that, so what you can do is, you know that little fabric sheet that you put in the dryer? You take a used one and you rub it against the wig gently and it will like pull out the fuzzies, so that's really useful too, and obviously cheap. So when you're buying wigs, I recommend scoring eBay first for wigs and wig accessories because, like I said, they tend to be cheaper. So you just want to search BJD wig and the size that you're interested in, 8'9", 7'8", 6'7". My favorite wigs are the Monique Golden Label. It's this guy here. It's synthetic, but it feels like human hair, and it's really soft, and you don't have to worry about like bending the fibers so much because it's just a really nice quality, soft, realistic wig. And you can get them from Denver Doll Emporium. You can get them from J-Pop Wigs. League World has some really nice wigs, but there's been that controversy lately with them copying the Dust of Doll puns. So, I mean, if that doesn't bother you, then go for it. But their shipping's really high. It's like $25 to ship a wig. There will be more places in the body of the post down there. Places that I like to shop for wigs. Some people on Den of Angels who make really nice, usually mohair or fur wigs. But keep in mind that the Den of Angels marketplace might not give you access unless you belong to the forum and you have a certain number of posts. So next week will be eyes, and I'm going to put a little announcement up about topics so you can, tell me what you would like to see sooner rather than later. And do you remember this doll that I opened the other day? I gave her a face-up, a fantasy one, roses. So I just wanted to show it to you. I don't know how well you can see it, but there she is. And that is all. I will see you next time, actually very soon. I'm about to shoot the other video with topics for the future. So, thank you. Bye-bye. Shoot me any questions you might have.